We'll just put this volume back up. Okay, so I have a bit of explaining to do. I actually did stream this yesterday evening, or I think it might. Actually, no, it was definitely yesterday evening. It was practically midnight when I finished. So that's kind of why I might have just rushed through some of the dialogue because, I mean, I had to go to sleep after all that was said and done. And I didn't want to just go to bed on a cliffhanger either. So, what else can I say? I screwed up. First things first, let me just quickly get this window capture on screen. Okay, so when I actually first downloaded part 5 of Natsuki's Roots, well, chapter 5 anyways, I think I might have actually forgotten to replace one of the asset files. With the newest download for Fruits of the Literature Club, there's like 2 RPA files, which is basically all sorts of content just packed up into one file. You don't need to actually just unpack it if you want to just play the mod, if you don't mind not being able to actually look at the content itself. So what I think I might have done was maybe just copy over the scripts RPA file, but not the mod assets RPA file. Because I basically just continually got this error throughout most of the endgame of Natsuki's Route. Should appear any moment now. Okay, I wasn't supposed to be waiting this long to see the exception. Well, it was actually not an error, more like an exception. I was able to ignore it. Like, I was technically able to still finish the mod, but there were a lot of these exceptions just constantly appearing, and it started to get really annoying. I knew why it was happening, and I figured out how to fix it. So I decided to just basically get a fresh copy of DDLC. Double check the instructions in the README, follow them down to the last letter, and then basically just copy both files with the download over, because I think I might have possibly just copied one by accident. So I basically got this error super frequently, and I was wondering why. Mainly because I didn't even think to check what the error was. It was called a name error. Name H name is not defined. This H name must be referring to Hideki, which is actually Natsuki's father's true identity. He was known as Matsumoto, but he had this other identity known as Hideki. He basically changed his name to try and just hide himself. So, hence the name Hideki, but it wasn't showing up because apparently this variable was just not initialized anywhere. So I'm just gonna run a wild guess and say that I must have copied over like the scripts RPA, but not the mod assets RPA, which I think in the mod assets file, this variable was created. So it ran through the scripts, kept finding this, and kept giving me this screen because I think I forgot a step. And this basically happened every time Hideki was supposed to say anything. So basically, it was like the ending to Natsuki's Root and Fruits, but minus all of Hideki's dialogue. So I'm gonna actually just play back through it, because there was certainly a lot of missed dialogue. Yeah, even though Hideki's an absolute piece of shit, I'm just gonna let him, like, actually speak. Sum up with that bad ending real quick. Or I could just go over the bad ending, perhaps. I mean, we're just gonna quickly leaf through everything we might have just missed anyways. We're quickly gonna leaf through, like, the last couple scenes of the mod anyways for Natsuki's Route. So basically, before that, like, Julia and Miyuki figure out that the person behind all the operations that involve trying to get main character killed, involving the guy trying to put the garrote around his neck, essentially just strangling him to death with a razor sharp wire, the guy who sent the squad team on him, like, Natsuki's dad was responsible for all of that. And this is, like, just after the reveal happens, that it's Natsuki's dad basically trying to get main character killed. and that he's basically a rogue agent from a different branch of the agency that main character works for. And he's basically just using his power to do evil things. God, I hope Natsuki is okay. Spoiler, she clearly isn't. I just want to let you know how disturbing I found this. Next set of lines here. I close my eyes and try to picture something better. Anything that's better than this. Using my hands, I cover my face and wait until it's over. When it is, I roll off of Dad's bed and run to my room. Yeah, you heard that right. Natsuki is essentially like a sex slave to her father. In addition to everything else, like, her father does to her, like, doesn't feed her, beats her. She's also her father's sex slave. If I throw up on the carpet, he'll beat me again. Not to mention it won't be easy to clean. Ugh. Mustering the energy to pick myself up off of the floor, I managed to catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. Yeah, spoiler alert 2. Yeah, I do know that MC faked his death because, of course, I actually played to the endings. I didn't get to see the Hideki dialogue, but I got to see all the other dialogue, and yes, I did know that MC faked his death, but how? Like, he didn't even have a pulse for a good couple minutes or so. Not to mention, I'm wondering how long that Garrett was around his neck, too. Because that's gotta cut off circulation, and if that thing was on his neck for at least a couple minutes, that probably should have just killed him, regardless. Grabbing some clothes from my dresser, I quickly put them on to hide my body from myself. Tears blurring my vision to the point of near blindness, I sit down on my bed and lower my head. I can't believe any of this. Everything's going downhill. So now we should be able to actually see Hideki's dialogue, and not just an exception has occurred every time he tries to speak. Dad never lets me touch this thermostat. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. He's just in the shower right now, cleaning himself off. I never even had the opportunity to do that. I never do. Lifting myself from my soft and comfy bed, I reach my window and prop it open. A gust of cool air enters my room and immediately starts to cool me off. Ah, that feels nice. A small part of my imagination taking over, I close my eyes and picture myself in a grassy field with tons of fresh air and freedom. But a door slamming downstairs rips me from my daydream back into reality. Natsuki! Oh god, why is he screaming? Get your ass down here! Involuntary fear forces me to comply. I run to my door, open it, and head downstairs. And then shit really hits the fan when she heads downstairs. However, Dad appears around the corner and grabs my hair. As his large hand rips a chunk of it, he pulls me down the rest of the stairs and into the living room. For a second, I actually had to sit down and think, do I really want to go through all this all over again? Like, Natsuki's been beaten for who knows, like, how much of her life she's been beaten up by her father. It's also getting to a point where she doesn't even have anything to eat at her house anymore. Not to mention, she gets raped by her own father. Yeah, there's incest involved, and then, like, her dad's also gonna try and murder her. So I had to just give myself, like, some time to think, do I really want to actually just let this guy speak or not? But I decided to say, fuck it. Because I screwed up. He picks me up by my hair and then lowers me to the ground, forcing my head to look at the floor. Because having all those an exception has occurred kind of broke the immersion a little bit. On the ground remains of what used to be my school uniform. He tore them off of her, yes. Why haven't you cleaned this up yet? You're a goddamn slob and I'm sick and tired of it. But Dad, you never gave me the chance to. Kya? Dad slaps the right side of my face, causing my head to jerk and my hair to be pulled. This does not make me look good. How do you think I feel? You ripped my clothes off and dragged me upstairs against my will. In my stunned daze, he lets go of my hair and I drop to the ground, slamming my already sore knees against the wood flooring. How dare you talk back to me like that? I made you. I put a roof over your head, gave you a bed to sleep in and food to eat. I even go out of my way to deal with your incessant friends. He's not wrong on that. He did try and get the main character killed. And all you happen to think is that I don't care at all. Well, you know what? You're just an ungrateful little bitch. That's it. I've had it with you. Granted, he's been horrible to me for years, but he's never been this bad before. What is wrong? Is something stressing him out? He paces around the room, getting angry and angry at me, doing absolutely nothing, especially something I honestly had no say in. What's he gonna do? At this point, I'm so scared that my hands won't stop shaking, scared that even the slightest of movements will cause him to strike me again. You know, if your boyfriend was still alive, he'd buy you a new uniform. But unfortunately, he's gone! He's dead, and you're alone like you will always be. But you won't have to worry about that for long. When I look up, his gaze meets mine, and the look in his eyes solidify the panic that bubbles within me. He reaches down and picks me up by my shirt, lifting me off the ground and raising me to his eye level. What are you doing? Ag! Just needed to clear my throat, excuse me. He brings his face inches from mine, making me wince and push my head against the wall. I don't want his face to be anywhere near mine. You think? Dad, please stop. Shut up! You have done nothing but be a problem for me, and I'm sick of it. And I have no choice but to cut all ties. What? Very quietly under his breath, he speaks those words. Oh, like so. And I have no choice but to cut off all ties. Or something like that. Sending a surge of shock throughout my body. What does he mean by that? It means he tries to strangle her to death. My face starts to feel extremely hot, and the panic finally starts to set in. Using my nails, I try to claw at Dad's arms to let him go. His eyes stare directly into mine, making me claw faster and faster out of fear. However, even though my nails are considerably digging into his arm, he doesn't budge. Why is he doing this? What did I do to deserve this? Dad, I'm sorry. He pulls me away from the wall and slams me back into it. Go. The back of my skull must have left a dent in the wall or something. I can feel the indentation of it. Just as quickly as I can, he retightens his grip on my throat. Desperately trying anything to get him to stop, I try swinging in his face. But I can't reach. He's put himself just outside the scope of my reach. This is it. I'm gonna die by my own father's hand. Why did it have to be this way? I thought he loved me. I thought I was his daughter. What type of father does this to his own child? My mind goes to one thing, level engine. At least I'll be able to see him again. Dad loosens his grip on my throat when someone knocks on the front door. He contemplates what to do as I gasp for air against the grip of his leathery hands. The door knocks again, louder and harder this time. Involuntarily gasping for air, I try the only thing left to save myself. Help me! Help! Gah! You little bitch! He starts to continually slam me against the wall like a ragdoll until I go limp. My back, my head, my neck, they all hurt very badly. My vision goes dizzy again and I feel strangely weak, like I'm in a daze. Open the door! Shouting is heard at the front door, which prompts Dad to look away. Even whilst, open the door now! What the hell? Don't tell me it's already too late. So, he basically realized that they were already on his ass. So, did he actually have the hint, like, well in advance that basically the rest of the agents were coming after him? So, what I'm guessing maybe happened here is he kind of just had this gut instinct telling him that he was gonna get caught, so I figured let's just kill Natsuki at this point. Like, if I'm gonna go down, then let's just take Natsuki with me. Wait a second. Blinking a few times, I'm actually getting a look at the woman's face. It's Julia! Dad lets go of me and I slide down the wall, barely hitting the ground. My knees buckle underneath me, but I weakly manage to keep myself upright. Julia! Dad steps away from me and stares directly at Julia. Hideki, give it up. You're going to come with me and you'll pay for what you've done. And what if I don't? Are you going to take me by force? What are they talking about? Why are they calling my dad that? That's not his name! If we have to, we will. Fine. When both the men are close to him, they reach out for his arms. But almost in the blink of an eye, Dad grabs one of the guy's arms and throws him over his shoulder. It's so fast I barely catch a glimpse of it. Huh? The other guy grabs onto Dad's arm and yanks it down, but Dad throws his left hand up against it. The guy's arm contorts up at an angle that makes me instantly sick. He lurches back, but Dad wraps both of his hands around the guy's head and he instantly drops to the ground. The entire time, his face remains sternly calm and unexpressive. What is he doing? What's going on here? Dad turns around and swiftly kicks the head of the guy he toppled. You'll have to do better than that. Julia and my father walk toward each other, both of them staring each other down with pure hatred in their eyes. This isn't good. He's going to hurt her. You think? Upon further inspection, it looks as if he has something hidden in his sleeve. He and Julia try to go swing at each other, but I try and call out and warn her before it's too late. Julia, watch out! He has something up his sleeve! My dad's fist barely misses her, giving her a window to strike back. She lands a punch squarely onto his nose, but he doesn't flinch. He reaches forward and grabs onto her throat, ducking himself down, rotating his hips just so he can throw Julia across the living room just by her neck alone. Gah? She breaks her fall with her arms and rolls forward, allowing her to stand up with ease. Oh, DDLC, welcome back. I actually did play through the end game of Fruits of the Literature Club Natsuki Route already, but I actually messed something up with just copying some of the files over. What ended up happening was that every time Hideki was trying to say something, I got this exception so I could never see what he said. And it did kind of break the immersion a little bit. So I'm basically going into this not blind. Dad straightens his back, lifting Julia up. No! Julia contorts her body enough to knee my dad in the face. Yeah, you'd probably have to watch the previous streams to catch up. I guess for like a too long didn't read version of the Natsuki route in Fruits of Literature Club, we like Natsuki, we figure out she's a victim of abuse at the hands of her father, and then it turns out it actually goes just much deeper than that. The abuse gets worse and worse, and then we eventually start to figure out that there's some suspicious things going on within the agency that the main character works for, because he's like the secret agent. Then, like, there's this squad team that works for the agency that's sent to try and kill him, and then he's taken into custody, and then someone tries to garrote him to death. And then eventually, everyone just figures out that Natsuki's abusive father was actually a rogue agent who had connections with, like, another branch of the agency, and he's basically just been using his power to try and get the main character killed. And also just basically have public records of him basically wiped out of existence, as to make police, like, be unable to track him down, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants to his daughter. Wait a second, at this angle I can see my dad's right sleeve. He has a knife hidden in it. Before I could even get the words out, the knife slides perfectly into his grip and slams it down at Julia. Julia, he's got a knife! The other man who had been knocked out by Dad when he was kicked in the head gets up and charges. Dad swings his feet across the ground and gets the momentum to lift Julia with his trapped arm. She lets go and rolls back onto his feet, engaging in combat with Julia's savior. When she manages to stand back up, Dad plunges his knife into his opponent's neck and rips it to the side. No! Spinning and turning on his heel, he swings the knife at Julia. She turns and rotates her body while simultaneously backing up, just barely dodging his swings. One of his swings grazes her cheek and cuts it slightly. Flattening her hand and angling her palm up, she strikes upward towards my dad's face, but he barely recoils and pushes Julia's head down against his knee. And he knocks her out. If this is what you're made of, that I would be doing you a favor ending your life. I could throw something! And then Natsuki grabs a vase and tries to throw it at her dad's head. And then he turns around to look at me, his eyes as terrifying as they've ever been. You little... He removes his foot from Julia's neck and starts to charge towards me. Sprinting to the stairs, I start to climb them almost 3 steps at a time. He barrels after me faster than I've ever seen him move before. Stretching my small legs as far as they can, I get to the top of the stairs and race to my room. Locking the door behind me, I stare at it and back away. Loud and panic-inducing thumps grow closer and closer at an almost unimaginable speed. The door starts to shake violently as he slams his fists against it. Damn it. I've cornered myself. I can't get out from here. He walks into the room and stops shortly after the doorway, blocking me in. You know, I'll give you credit. That was a smart idea back there. But every smart idea has its cons. You'll die before her, Natsuki. Dad, please, you don't have to do this. Yes, sweetheart, I do. Just don't struggle. I'll make it quick for you. You're my daughter, after all. I can give you special treatment. Fuck you, you fucking asshole. He steps towards me and grabs onto my neck, lifting me straight off the ground into the air. He squeezes extremely tightly, making my head feel warm and my airflow to be completely blocked. I was in the middle of talking when he grabbed me. I almost have no oxygen in my lungs. Gripping onto his wrists and desperately kicking my legs out to hit him proved to be completely useless. His grip on me, it can't. My eyes start to water as I look down to his. But through the blur of my tears, I see a shadowy figure rise up behind my dad and wrap an arm around his neck. And then Dad lands on his back, rolls upright. You have a lot of nerve distracting me from what I was doing, Julia. And then the next big reveal happens right about here. Oh, KYS, welcome back. I want to actually just finish off the Natsuki route properly because I copied some files over incorrectly last time I streamed this just yesterday. And I kept getting exceptions occurring every time this guy on screen here tried to say something. Because there was like a variable called hname. It was probably actually initialized in the mod assets RPA file. Yet I didn't actually go and copy it over. I think I still might have had the old copy from like an older version where hname wasn't declared at all, so like this game basically then ran through like the scripts and kept seeing the hname variable and didn't know what to do, so it kept throwing exceptions. My name isn't Julia Hideki. Yeah, so essentially let's say if we were still on the old version with like the wrong files copied over, this would have given us an exception. So the variable hname is essentially responsible for storing this string of text, which is basically the character. Well, the character has two names, Matsumoto and Hideki. So this guy basically just changed his name to try and just basically elude authority so he could just abuse his daughter freely. And that's why his public record's deleted too. So this is the guy's true identity. Okay, it's a little confusing. I'd have to explain. So essentially, what else can I say? Like, the variable called hname is basically responsible for storing this string of text here. And since there was basically like no variable that existed, instead of being able to actually put the name here Hideki properly, it just gave me an exception every time he tried to say something. Hope that explains it. Well, maybe not the part about the whole changed identities, but I hope that explains why I got exceptions. You're still alive? I can't believe it! Level Engine stands before my dad with a look I've never seen before. It's the true look of hatred. Level Engine, how did you survive? You of all people shall know this by now. You don't kill the Grim Reaper that easily. And then this is basically everything from the main character's point of view leading up to, of course, the encounter with Hideki himself. From, like, the guy that was strangling him to death, or attempting to do so. Yeah, I thought for sure, like, the guy with the Garrett killed him. That's essentially a wire placed around someone's neck. I think it's probably sharp. Well, it cuts into their skin, so it's probably razor sharp. And then you leave that on their neck and they just basically die from suffocation. You look like you've seen a ghost. No, I've seen the Grim Reaper himself. Pushing myself with my forearm to sit up, I rest my hand on my neck. Miyuki stands frozen, unable to move and having a very hard time speaking. Pressing against my neck with my hand, the raw skin from the wire stings sharply. Judging by the way the desk and the chairs are strewn about, I'd say the agent to attack me has been caught and taken in. It wouldn't be too far off to say Miyuki probably has a medical team coming down here to treat my body, which could work out in my favor. So after that near-death experience, main character basically concludes that it might be smart to just pretend he's dead, even though it's going to basically just emotionally crush Natsuki and Julia, at least until they figure out that, like, he was actually just playing dead. That way, Hideki would just assume that main character is out of the picture, and would basically just let his guard down as a result. Now that I'm dead, like, they'll be able to just track him down easier. The search for this operations kingpin will be much easier now that I'm dead. There won't be anything for them to hide behind to get close to me. Before I can delve further into thought, Miyuki returns to the room with a large, overly complex makeup kit. More features about my face have been changed to make me look less recognizable. I won't lie. Miyuki is one talented beautician. I couldn't even recognize myself at first, reinforcing my prior resolve and making any worries disappear. From there we plan out what we're gonna do. This isn't gonna be easy, ma'am, but we need to retrieve his critical agent information before anyone else does. No, I understand. It has to be done. We can't let that fall into unauthorized hands. So the agent said that Eastern Branch sent the order? Correct. Doesn't sound right to me, but I can't help but feel that's true. Haven't the foggiest clue as to why Eastern Branch would do this. I have no idea either, but I think I have a hunch. What is it? There has to be some sort of paper order that was created to even authorize the attack on you. If we can find that order, we have verifiable proof against the Eastern Branch. Not to mention we could get a name from the signature. Precisely. So how do we get this proof? Look in Eastern Branch's files. We can just help ourselves. Sit down, Miyuki, before you collapse from exhaustion. It's exhausting acting like I'm perfectly fine around Julia. I haven't slept a wink in a few days. What about you? You don't look tired at all. Oh, I'm fatigued, but I'm more prone to pushing those knees to the side. Jesus, I guess that's what being raised to become a weapon will do to you. Oh, you have no idea. We wait for Julia to return. I like how Eastern Branch is abbreviated to EB. Yeah, so do I. Julia quickly walks in, prompting Miyuki and I to look at her. She looks at Miyuki and then to me quickly before taking a deep breath in. Miyuki! It's her father! What? What? Hideki Obayashi is Matsumu Tokijin. It's Natsuki's father. He's a 4-digit agent from the Eastern Branch. He's been this entire time. 4-digit agents, essentially, in this mod being among, like, the top echelon of agents that work at this agency. They basically excel in everything they've been trained to do. There have been essentially some of the deadliest people who work for the agency. They're among, like, the strongest people that work there. Why is he in here? Oh, that's rude, Jules. Julia's eyes widen and her hands immediately start to shake. Removing the cap from my head, I give Julia a small smirk. Level Engine! You're alive! Her voice softens to a very quiet whisper. Thank God. I can practically feel her despair dissolve as she holds me in her arms. But without a single comment or negative flare, I wrap my arms around her as well. I've really missed you. God, I thought you were gone forever. I can't offer you words of comfort other than I missed you too. She looks directly at Miyuki. Did you know about this? Yes, ma'am. She and I have worked together since the incident, and to maintain the atmosphere that was generated, I had to play dead. Unfortunately, I had to believe I was dead, and thus also had to tell Natsuki that he was quote-unquote dead. Otherwise you could tip off whoever was behind this. Your demeanor had to be genuine. It was really smart, so thank you for that. So that bastard was behind all this. How many times was I so close to him? To this despicable piece of trash that has been tracking me the entire time. I could have stopped this long ago. None of this would have ever happened if I just ended it when I had the chance. Like, why am I getting such a sense of deja vu right now? I'm trying to think how many times we were actually right in front of Kagan. I think both times, well, I think 2 times on school grounds and 1 time, like, outside Sayori's house. We were in front of this guy, and then we only figured out, of course, at the very end that he was basically responsible for the entire kidnapping operation that was going on at Sayori's route. And when he basically figured out that his plan had failed, he tried to just shoot Sayori in the head. By the time we finally prepare and get outside, the sun is fully set and the night sky greets us. Julia, Miyuki, and I jog out of the main entrance and down to the concrete steps of the field office. And then they just have cars and SUVs, and then they just basically go on over there. I'm called the Reaper, and now I'm starting to see why I'm called the Reaper. Because I don't die, and I'm finally beginning to understand my only true purpose in this world is to be the one who drags my enemies to hell. Maybe it's time to embrace the Revenant I am. It'll be the only way I can survive this fight. Hideki is a 4-digit agent just like I am. Agency's top-performing weapons, they are capable of doing anything within the scope of their skill set. Which makes me a little worried about what's to transpire. I have no idea how skilled Hideki is or what he's possibly capable of. But what I do know is, Natsuki depends on this. I will not fail her again. Front door's already been kicked in. Miyuki, stay in the car. And then this is basically where we just also find Julia is basically out unconscious on the floor. Which means I'm the only one left. And then this is where Level Engine basically runs into Hideki. Alright, it's time. Standing behind Hideki, I wrap my right arm around his throat and throw my weight down while pivoting my hip. The movements cause Hideki to release Natsuki and send him flying over my shoulder. And then this fight is also a pretty long fight between Level Engine and the big bad, Natsuki's dad. You have a lot of nerve distracting me from what I was doing, Julia. My name isn't Julia, Hideki. You're still alive? Level Engine. How'd you survive? You of all people should know this by now. You don't kill the Grim Reaper. She must be scared and confused by everything happening all at once. From what Miyuki said, Julia told Natsuki I was dead, so this has to be a shock to her. Hideki walks towards me, our gazes meeting each other with unending fury. I've heard all about you. I guess the rumors are true after all. You and so many others. Central Branch's youngest, yet most effective killer. Main character is still 18 even in this mod, right? 18-year-old effective killer. He eyeballs Natsuki after saying that. Yeah, you heard me correctly, Natsuki. Your boyfriend here is a killer. He mercilessly kills without a second thought. And of course, he hides it all from you so you don't suspect anything. I'm aware of the monster I become, but I'm nowhere near your level. How could a father abuse his daughter like you do? You're the monster here, Hideki. I don't need to be lectured by an overconfident brat, especially one that is wasting time and effort for someone so unimportant. Do not talk about your daughter that way. Natsuki is more than important to me. Whatever you say, one man's trash is another's treasure. Hideki quickly grabs a lamp that was sitting on Natsuki's bedside table and throws it at me. Throwing my left hand to the side, I block the lamp from hitting me in time to see the man charge directly at me. His shoulder collides into my chest, and the impact from it feels as if I've just been hit by a truck. Gah! My body is thrown back against the wall, nearly knocking the wind out of me. I'm probably just going to go through the whole fight scene again, regardless. I mean, I do have time anyways. He charges at me again, readying his right hand for an overhead strike. Throwing my left foot out and touching the wall, I kick off and get away just in time. Yeah, Assembly of Earth, I have a lot of explaining to do. We're currently fighting Natsuki's dad, who's also this top-level agent, but he's gone rogue, and he's using his power for evil. Managing to get behind him before he recovers, I grab hold of his left arm and try to twist it. Specifically, he beats, he starves, he rapes, and even tried to murder his own daughter. That being Natsuki we're talking about here. So yes, this is a Doki Doki mod. Natsuki is the one who briefly hints in Act 2, like, my dad would beat the shit out of me if he found this in my room. And then the American Eagle just cranks out to 11 and then some. Breathing in and out, I shove my right knee directly into his back. Expecting him to recoil and try to get away, I pull his arm to close the distance between us. Yeah, you'd have to think, like, just how many crimes did this guy commit over the course of this Natsuki route? There's child abuse, sure. Child abuse? I'll use my thumbs on my fingers. There's attempted murder. Incest. Rape. Can we count those two together? Destruction of property. I think I'm gonna need another hand here. So there's those 5. Also, threatening, like... threatening another man's family, like... But Natsuki's an adult. I did mention rape. If Natsuki was, like, a minor, then yeah, I'd mention that too. A whole lot of fucking shit. Sexual assault. I said rape. There was also pushing Monica over in, like, the hallway of the school, which could also count as assault, so, like, 7 things I can count on, like, 2 hands. However, he doesn't recoil or even grunt. He twists his abdomen enough to elbow me in the face with his free arm. This just kills me inside typing all this out. I hope this doesn't get taken out of context, guys. There was like a seventh one. Unable to react quickly enough, he grabs my head with both of his hands and throws me down towards an incoming knee. Shit, if he manages to hit me with that, I'm gonna lose consciousness for sure. At the final second, I cock my neck to the left, forcing my upper chest to take the brunt of the blow. Wrapping my hands around his leg, now free for me to control, I push forward to throw off his balance. If I can get him to the ground, I can destroy his kneecap and immobilize him. Not bad, kid. He's slamming his elbow directly down to my spine. Forcing my body to ignore the pain, I shove myself forward quickly enough to wrap my arms around Hideki's back. Kicking my other knee against his groin, I shove him backward and into the wall. Hits much harder than you expect. I have to avoid taking hits as much as possible. If he manages to land a nicely placed shot, I will lose consciousness and that'll be the end. Isn't like I can be quick either. He hits hard and is just as fast as I am. Level Engine, are you okay? Natsuki's scared voice cracks from the corner of the room. Don't worry about me. I want you to get out of here. It isn't safe. But I can't just leave you. Natsuki, if I lose this fight and you're still here, you will die. So do as I say. Run! Natsuki timidly gets off the floor and while staying near the wall opposite of her father, leaves the room in a hurry. Hideki looks at her and gives me the opportunity to strike. Grabbing a book off one of Natsuki's shelves, I throw it at him and hit him directly in the face. Ugh! Did you just throw a book at me? You threw a goddamn lamp at me! We both charge into each other and start throwing hooks and jabs, barely missing each other with each attempt. I fake a kick and when he reacts, I slam my elbow opposite to him against his temple. Wrapping my arm around his neck and positioning him in a lock. I start to barrage him with a frenzy of knees to the stomach. But he manages to lift me off the ground with just his upper body while he's still in the headlock. He runs as fast as he can to the wall behind me, slamming into it. Damn, now he has me pinned to the wall. My lock doesn't hold up due to the sudden attack on my body. Hideki easily slides out of it and throws his dominant fist onto my face. I manage to catch his neck swing with my hand and barely save myself. Hideki grits his teeth and tries to pull his hand away to ready another strike. But keeping my grip on his fist, I raise my knees and plant both of my feet solidly against my chest. Taking a deep breath in and out, I push against him with every ounce of my strength. After dropping to the floor, I roll out of his way as he gets back up. Damn it. I'm getting much more tired than I really can stand right now. We both share a minute of solid but tense silence as we breathe to catch ourselves up. He looks as if he's winded too, so at least I know I'm making progress. But probably progress isn't profitable. I'm losing energy too much to keep going. Getting tired over there, kid? I'm fine. What about you, old man? I can go all damn night if I have to. Well, sorry to break your heart, but I don't have that sort of time. Then I'll just make this quick. We manage to lock arms and push against each other to the point where we're matched. I'm not moving any further back, and neither is he. But he takes his hands off my shoulders and wraps his arms around mine. He's going to break my arms. I have to abort. Letting go of him just in time, my arm slipped out of his grip, thus sparing him, but allowing him to take advantage. I take another extremely hard impact against my face, and I lose all the footing I had to defend myself. He uses his body weight to shove me closer to the window, opening himself up to an uppercut. Using a majority of my strength, I slam my fist against the underside of his chin. His head cocks up abnormally, and he loses his footing for a second, nearly falling onto me. I'm unable to anticipate him kneeling me in the stomach and knocking the wind out of me. I meant to say kneeing in the stomach. My body's still in shock and struggling to breathe. He wraps his hands around my throat and pushes me against the open window. Ack! Alright, this isn't good. He planned this entire thing out. He purposefully waited for me to attack and knock the wind out of me so he could finish me off easier. I'm pushed against the lower half of the windowsill, so any chance of moving is null. He pushes further towards the window, causing my back to arch outside. Eck. Ha, now make sure you die. I can't allow myself to fall out of the window. His grip on me and the sudden weight change will snap my neck. And I can't fight back since I'm out of his reach. I try to slam my elbow against his arms to break his wrists, but that does nothing except expend energy I need to think. Damn it, come on, level engine, think. If this is how I'm going to go out, I might as well glare him to death. Yeah, that's right, Hideki. I'll kill you with my eyes. That's the least I can do. His eyes widening and lets go of me. My body forcing itself to take a breath, I start to cough profusely, unable to gain control of my breathing. Glancing out of the corner of my eye, I see Hideki reach towards his back. I know something that both relieves and terrifies me. Natsuki has jumped onto her father's back and is digging her nails and teeth into him. And her small stature works out for her in this circumstance too, as Hideki is barely able to reach her. She saved my life. You're goddamn crazy, Natsuki. I continue to cough while trying to move, but my body sucks in so much air at a time that it makes it hard for me to focus. Get off of me, you little bitch! Natsuki practically growls as she attacks her father. Trying to focus and perform my breathing exercise again, I start to feel the fussiness in my head dissipate. But unfortunately, as I finally regain my composure and turn to face the beast in front of me, Hideki has grabbed Natsuki's throat, ripping her off his back. He angles his hips and pivots his abdomen, throwing Natsuki against the wall by only her throat. Ugh. Natsuki! Hideki looks at me, finally finished with our song and dance. What? Was that a little too hard? Did I break your neck? Natsuki remains unmoving on the floor, instantly sending a hot wave of entirely new anger through my veins. That is it. I've watched the woman I love get hurt for the last time. It's because of me that she could be dead. Do not continue that thought level engine. Destroy him. Look at him. Do not allow him to survive this. He's just like your father. Slaughter him! Without making so much as a single sound, I throw my weight down to my knees and I launch myself at Hideki, catching him just as he pushes his glasses up his nose. I throw my right fist into his cheek. Using that momentum, I spin myself around and bring my elbow down to his skull. His glasses up his nose. Those aren't really gonna fit up there. Grabbing his head in both my hands, I dig my nails into him and shove his face into my knee. I just know it's not gonna happen. I don't feel like trying to shove my glasses up my nose. Climbing onto him, I wrap both of my hands around his neck and start to squeeze with every last fiber of my being. His throat abnormally contorts inward as my fingers pry the life from his body. Ugh. He struggles to breathe, and I focus my vision directly onto my hands. It tunnels to where only my hatred and my anger can watch him die. Suddenly, something slams on the side of my head, knocking me to the side and stunning me. Placing my left hand on the source of the pain, I feel a warm sensation run down my finger. Pulling it away, I see that there is a bead of blood covering it. Shattered remnants of a ceramic lamp lie around me and Hideki. Damn, that hurts. The constantly tingling ache from my skull makes my left eye wince, inhibiting my vision. After stabilizing myself, I stare him directly in his eyes while he dusts his white dress shirt off. Wiping my bloody hand on my shirt, I grip it back to a fist to reassure myself. After receiving a pretty blow to the head as I have, some find it hard to fully regain the strength in their limbs. This includes being unable to fully straighten your leg, or in this case, make a fist. Taking one deep breath in, I charge at Hideki. Narrowly ducking under his fist, I slam mine to the side of his head. But he grabs onto my wrist and begins to throw me over his shoulder. God damn it! He managed to grab hold of me and now has me over his head. How do you feel about a broken spine? Shit! My view directed towards the ceiling now, I feel him pull me down. Gah! An electrical shock shoots up in my back and across my body. I can barely comprehend what just happened. I can barely feel anything. As the world phases back on my perception, an intense aching pain originates from my back. Hideki slammed my back onto his knee in an attempt to break my spine. But judging from the fact I can feel his pain and move my fingers, it didn't hit hard enough to break anything. He pushes me off his knee and down to the floor. I need to get up and keep fighting. I just can't lie here on the floor like this. He grabs onto my hair and my shirt, pulling me up to eye level with him. You know, you put up a good fight for what you are. You're definitely the most tenacious bastard I've ever had to kill. Born and raised. One of his fists slams in my face, the sheer force behind it nearly disconnecting me from consciousness. I try to knee him in the stomach, but the blows I'm taking are just too much energy to bear. I'm focusing everything on his hit, so I can barely do much else in spite of my fatigue. He readies another fist. I try to catch it on my hand, only to fail and slightly block his impact. Feeling more and more strength leave my body, I go slightly limp in his grasp. My plan won't work at this point. He's already beaten the hell out of me to the point of near unconsciousness. I can barely bring myself to make a fist anymore. No. I force myself to make another fist. I can't let her down. Cocking my head to an angle where I can comfortably see Natsuki, my eyes widen. Natsuki isn't there. What? Hideki lets go of me. I land down on my feet. Looking behind Hideki's right shoulder, I see Natsuki standing next to the door, panicked, holding a handgun shakily in her hands. Natsuki? Hideki tries to stand back up. His face turns white as soon as he touches his wound. Accepting the opportunity that's befallen me, I stand myself back up quicker than he can and then elbow him to the side. He stumbles to the side and I dash toward Natsuki. Natsuki, give me the gun! Before I even have the chance to grab it, I hear pounding behind me. Hideki is recovering and is coming right for us. Quickly reaching the gun on Natsuki, I pull her close to my chest and point the gun at the tyrant approaching. Gurk! The round whips through his chest and impacts him hard enough to make him stumble. Slightly moving away from Natsuki, I kick her father in the chest and bring him to his knees. Pointing the barrel of the gun down at his head, he looks back up at me with shock and fury in his eyes. So, physicist, are you still here? Because if so, then you can actually basically just see what the bad ending is like yourself. Rather than me just telling you later, you can see it for yourself now if you're still here. You son of a bitch. You brought this on yourself, Hideki. You've toyed with an innocent girl's life, putting her through horrible conditions and atrocities, all for your own gain. I'm her father. I can do whatever the fuck I please with her. You're no father. A father wouldn't do any of this. And how would you know how to parent, huh? When I have a daughter on my own, I will not become the monster you or my father were. Ha 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 ha! Such bold words coming out of the mouth of a hypocrite. A hypocrite protecting a cockroach, no less. Natsuki remains close to my side, watching the coming circumstances. Well, if you're going to kill me, give the gun to my daughter. I prefer it be her that ends my life. She regrets hearing that very deeply. If I give the gun to Natsuki, it's going to make her decide whether or not to kill her own father. That isn't a decision anyone would be ready to take at that moment, regardless of who their father was. Natsuki is still a fragile girl at that. This decision would weigh out too heavily on her. Plus, if she kills him, it could lead to her becoming a monster like myself. So to protect Natsuki from the burden of this choice, I will take it for her. I'll be the monster to make this decision. No, Hideki. I'm gonna kill you or let you live. Huh? What? I'm not gonna let her live with the weight of this decision bearing down on her for the rest of her life. So you're doing it yourself. How noble. Keeping the barrel pointed at the wounded man's head, I try to contemplate what to do with Hideki Obayashi. So should I pull the trigger first or not do it? He's become a severe threat to myself and the Central Branch. She isn't safe around him. He's caused her more pain than she will ever know. He's a 4-digit agent from the company, so killing him won't go over well with relations between the branches. If I take him into the agency, Central Branch can do what they need to bring justice to him, but if he remains alive and something happens, it could spell trouble for Natsuki and I. Damn it. Do I really keep someone as horrible as him alive? Or do I end everything right here and face the consequences later? Kill him. He's been nothing but trouble for you and Natsuki. He's raped her, beaten her, starved her, tried to murder her. And most of all, he's like your father. If you had a gun to your father's head right now and this was him, you'd pull the trigger without warning. Hideki is just like your father, Level Engine. Do it. I actually chose to kill him first because I was just so angry at him for all the shit he's done to Natsuki, to main character, to basically everyone involved with his antics. He's basically fucked over every single person he's interacted with in any way, shape, or form. So I was just not hesitant at all to kill him, but you want me to spare him? I come to the terms with the decision I'm making. If I leave him alive, the agency will be able to do stuff with him. As much as I hate him, I can't bring myself to kill the father of the girl I love. I can't let my revenge-fueled anger overtake me and make a decision like this irrationally. Pulling Natsuki into a tight hug with my arm, I look Hideki into his eyes menacingly. I'm not going to kill you, Hideki. I see. You'd prefer I suffer a life of regret for the decisions I made, huh? Couldn't have said it better myself. Our people decide where you go and how you suffer. Everything you've done, you had it coming to you. You're one enemy I will not drag to hell with me. Huh. True words of the infamous Reaper himself. Footsteps echo up the stairs, drawing everyone's attention. A familiar face peers into the room. Level Engine, I heard gunshots. Miyuki? Becoming completely blindsided by Miyuki's sudden entrance, I don't take notice of Hideki reaching for me. By the time I notice, it's too late. He grabs a hold of the gun, twists my wrist, and takes control of the firearm. Level Engine! No, god damn it! He places the gun's barrel into my chin. Goodbye, kid. I was honestly surprised to figure out that letting the guy live actually gives you the bad ending, and not the other way around. And then the other two agents died too. Hideki and Natsuki were never found. What happens to Natsuki after this? I probably really don't want to know. Because it was already bad enough just before, like, Level Engine gets killed. Well, the main character, anyways. It was already bad enough. It was getting worse. Like, did you not see the list of things that, like, Hideki's guilty of? A lot of which he's done to Natsuki. And, like, it would still probably somehow get even worse from there. With that bad ending. Assuming that's possible, but yeah, it probably would get worse for Natsuki. Unless he just kills her on the spot. And then she doesn't have to suffer anymore. If I leave him alive, he will still be an extreme threat. I've only barely defeated him thanks to Natsuki. Next time I might not be so lucky. Do it. Kill him. He's just like your father. No. He isn't. He may be an absolutely despicable being that's lower than dirt, but he isn't as bad as him. Are we ever going to actually figure out exactly how bad the other character's father is anyways? Give me one good reason why I should let you live. After a moment, he looks up at me and smiles. Heh, I can't. I faced myself long ago and understood what I am, as an agent and a father. And if I was in your position, I wouldn't have even asked that question. So I cannot give you a good reason to let me live. Wrapping my hand around Natsuki's head, I pull her into my chest so she can't see what's about to happen. It's over. I can't give you a good reason to live. Finally, he was being honest for once. Though you just had to have a gun pointed at his head for him to actually realize just how much of a fucking sicko he was. It's sad that I had to come to that, but he will not be missed. Every muscle within my body aches horribly. Even taking a deep breath requires a lot of energy to endure the pain. So yeah, I was just so filled with frustration and anger at what this guy had been getting away with for basically the entire playthrough of the mod that I had no hesitation just killing him at all. Even though you're generally not supposed to do that, I had zero, like, regret and just have him killed straight away. Not just that, I also recently found this discussion on the Natsuki route. There's this one guy who's actually going to start a Justice for Natsuki series of drawings with Natsuki's dad being killed by all sorts of things, not necessarily human. He said his first Justice for Natsuki piece is going to involve something prehistoric. All details are set, my artist has been picked, and work will soon begin on it, as I told Eagle. You can see the end result over the community art channel once it's complete. I didn't say it would have to be human. A non-human is what I picked. Something prehistoric, to be exact. Alright, so for everyone who's been following along at the Natsuki route discussion channel, I've been discussing my Justice for Natsuki commission series quite a bit. I should probably get this on screen. That's better. Well, here's the unveiling of my first executioner for the first part. Cyclops the alpha male Utahraptor from the first Primitive War novel by Ethan Pettis. This story involves dinosaurs appearing during the Vietnam War as a result of time distortions brought about by human meddling with dangerous technology. Art by Bruno Hernandez, and to finally reveal the beast that would be the one killing Datsuki fruits. Cyclops in particular is quite brutal for his species, and it's with that mindset I chose to be the first one to kill an evil Datsuki. Now that I think about it, I still have honestly mixed feelings about this whole thing. You're going to be drawing something probably pretty graphic and horrifying, but at the same time, we're talking about, like, the ultimate piece of shit, so I think I kind of have to see this. Like, it's still probably not going to be as bad as what Natsuki got put through. It being, like, getting mauled to death by a dinosaur. But a hand being placed on my shoulder diverts my attention. Hey, how are you doing? I'm fine, what about you? Natsuki sits down beside me and looks at the asphalt of the road below her. The Monica route still isn't finished yet, so I'm actually considering maybe playing another Doki Doki mod until that's basically finished. And then I just basically come right back for this one. There's so far 4 of the 5 chapters for Monica's route done, and the 5th one should be coming out soon. So I might just have the time to possibly play a short mod, and then come right back to this one, perhaps. So much has happened I can barely keep up with it. I mean, earlier today at school I was told you died. And then my dad tries to kill me, random people show up to my house, call my dad a different name, and then you show up out of nowhere. My dad called you a killer. I just don't really know what to think right now. I make eye contact with her and then back to Natsuki. You deserve an explanation. Natsuki flashes me a cornered look and scoots closer to me. Concerned, not cornered. Whoops. What's going on? Taking another deep breath in, I prepare myself for the massive info dump I'm about to give to her. Starry Eyes is perhaps the shortest mod ever. Do you really think it's shorter than Hell's Kitchen? Talking about the Doki Doki mod. Is it even shorter than Hell's Kitchen? I'm willing to bet that it probably isn't. I know I'm not supposed to be telling her any of this, but she deserves it after what has happened. 10 minutes. I think Hell's Kitchen was still shorter. Natsuki, your father changed his identity when you were extremely young. His real name is Hideki Obayashi, but he changed it to Matsumoto to hide his real identity. With that, he also had some of your records doctored to mitigate suspicion. Wait, isn't that like a crime too, just meddling with government records? What? Why do you do something like that? Yeah, isn't that technically illegal too? I'm not quite sure why he personally did that, but I know it was effective in throwing off trails of investigation. What do you mean investigation? Well, ever since I met you and learned about the home situation you dealt with every day, I told myself I was going to protect you from it. But I didn't know how to. He was your father, and I couldn't take any options that were beneficial for everyone. After I met your father, I had a very strange feeling about him. A feeling of familiarity that is hard to explain. I did some research and talked to a few people, and it turns out Matsumoto had no records at all in the public database. Almost like they were deleted to make him blend in with everyone around him. Natsuki's face proves she is having a hard time processing this. So out of courtesy, I paused and gave her some time. But how did you do any of that? That's where I was eventually going to lead. Natsuki, do you remember what I told you about my job? As little as it was, yeah. You were called when you needed to help when staffing was low for the day. That is a front that I tell people. I wouldn't be surprised that bribery was also involved. What your father said about me was right. I do kill people. I'm an agent for an organization I can't tell anyone anything about. I follow through tasks as I'm instructed to. Like an assassin? Poor choice of words, but for your safety, of course. But it turns out that your father was employed by my organization and had extensive connections as a result. He knew that I was an agent shortly after we met, and he attempted to have me killed multiple times. What? The most recent time I was nearly strangled to death. I barely managed to survive. But since I survived, I opened up an opportunity for Julia to investigate an attack, especially under the guise that I was dead. So Julia lied to me? Not really. She was under the impression I was dead. I didn't reveal my survival to her until just 2 hours ago. It's not nice to leave a girl hanging like that. Oh, feeling like that, sorry. Feeling like that. It's also not nice to leave a girl hanging either. Natsuki's eyes start to fill with tears and her hands tremble. I take my right arm and wrap it around her. What matters is that I'm alive now and you're safe. I'm sorry I didn't stop this sooner, Natsuki. That's something I'm always going to regret. Level engine, you dummy. You acted very maturely through all of this. It's something I really like about you. Even though you were upset near the breaking point, you kept your cool and remained the bigger man. You did everything you could to help me, and you have no idea how much I value that. And after all, you did keep your promise. You did save me. And then we hug each other. And then we go to the hospital. Wait, really? Fuck's sake, I thought I changed it to Doki Doki Literature Club. I did! I did change it to Doki Doki Literature Club, so I still don't know why, like, the game doesn't necessarily update for you, but even when I type it in, it still says, like, DDLC. I don't understand why that's the case sometimes. Like, I can never figure it out. We're brought to the hospital to get more extensive medical assistance. Natsuki didn't receive any substantial injuries, so she's cleared. Julie is diagnosed with a grade 3 concussion, but more serious than that. I have several sprained bones, a minor concussion, a broken rib, and a few muscles have been torn in my back. Julia can't drive, she has the concussion. Miyuki's driving, Natsuki and I in the back seat. The image of her, how scared she was when she shot that handgun, resonates through my mind over and over again. It was the face of someone who wasn't ever meant to harm, bringing harm to someone. Well, it's like she really had a choice. It was either that or just get killed herself, or main character gets killed. Can't really blame her, she didn't even have a say in the matter. It was basically life or death. You look stressed. Is there more that is happening that you're not telling me? I'm sorry I had to fire a gun tonight. You don't need to apologize for something like that. I did what I could to save you, and I'm very proud of you for it. I leaned my head over and kissed her forehead again, which causes Natsuki to blush and avoid eye contact with me. You're quiet about it, too. I didn't even hear or notice that you had left the room. I'm not going to lie to you. When my dad threw me into the wall, I thought I'd broken my neck. It hurt to move and it hurt to breathe. I thought I was going to die. But I saw how much you were trying for me, and I felt I had to try for you, too. So I managed to crawl out of the room quickly and run downstairs. I grabbed the gun and shot him to get him off for you. I'll make sure you don't have to do that ever again. Natsuki smiles and rests her head on my shoulder. With the comforting and soothing silence, I lean my head back and glance out the window. After a few minutes, Natsuki dozes off when Julia looks back. Let's talk about the problems that are going to come from this. I've been waiting for this discussion. It turns out that the Eastern Branch is denying all responsibility for Hideki's actions, as I would expect them to. However, they are extremely unhappy with the fact that agents from our branch did some snooping around in theirs, accessed their information, and killed a retired agent when we could have brought him in. And since he was killed, they are demanding reparations. I had the opportunity to make that choice earlier. You made the decision you felt was best. I fully respect and understand it. And apparently, judging by the two endings you can get, that was the best decision, just kill him. Yeah, usually you're generally, not supposed to kill people, but for Hideki, you gotta make an exception. He's just that evil. The car finally pulls up to my driveway where Natsuki and I step out. She rubs her sleepy eyes and yawns while I close the door behind us. So yeah, what else can I say? Well, there's one thing that you can do in this that you can't do in Exit Music. You can earn your happy ending. Sure, it's basically a long ride, mostly frustrating and just heart-wrenching. Heart-wrenching for what Natsuki has to go through, frustrating that you can't do anything about it. But you get to earn your happy ending. Exit Music, no matter what you do, you still get the same sad ending. It's implied that everyone dies. Almost everyone dies. The end. A white box sits on my desk that I've been looking for quite a bit. Miyuki did me a favor when she and Julia retrieved some of my things after my death. I take the box and walk out of my bedroom with it. Returning to my bedroom, I place my hands against my back and try to stretch and alleviate the lingering tension that strains my muscles. You're more than welcome to have the shower to yourself first. I have to take care of a few things before I can shower anyways. Alright, good, because I really need one. Especially after tonight. One thing in specific catches my eye as she leaves the bedroom. I reach into the box and grab it, gently running my thumb across it. Placing it up in the middle of the bed in the specific position, I stand back and kneel down close to it. Oh, it's like the stuffed... It was a bear, right, in Suika? Stuffed animal, I think it was a bear. I knew I could count on you. Smirking, I stand back up and stretch my back out, ignoring the intense pain that results from it. Moving over to my closet, I open and sift around for a change of clothes myself. My bloody, dirty, and torn clothes have now reached their end. After picking out acceptable clothes that would fit Natsuki's standards for myself, I hear the water turn on in the bathroom. Flipping the page in my book, I hear the bathroom door open and shuffles coming down the hall. Natsuki turns into the bedroom, stands at the doorway. Well, look at you! Did you get these for me? Yeah, I was planning on surprising you with them later on, but well, you know what happened. I love them. The fabric is so soft and the pattern's my favorite. Whoops. I thought so. You look adorable in them. What did you just say? Lowering my back and keeping my gaze on her eyes, I challenged Natsuki in a stoic voice. I said, you look adorable in them. Do you want to get smacked? I'm not too exhausted to take you on. A moment of silence fills the room as both of us stare at each other, struggling to keep ourselves from laughing and breaking bearing. Mentally marking where I am in my book, I close the cover quickly and place it onto my desk. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to take my shower now. You should lie down and get some rest. That sounds like heaven right now. You don't know what kind of day I had. I can only imagine, sweetheart. Wrapping my arms around her, I squeeze her tightly and close my eyes. You won't be having those kinds of days anymore. Thank you so much for everything. I love you. As she says those words, I can actually feel my heartbeat through my body. I haven't felt like this since. I love you too, Natsuki. And then Natsuki's smile turns into a devilish grin. Heh, now go take your shower. You stink. Phew, yeah, no kidding. I'll be out in a few. Discolored line. That was probably from something. Some injury from the fight with Hideki. This is the face of a killer. The face of a kid raised to be a monster that can force himself past the moral and mental restrictions on murder. But the fact of the matter is that everything is over now. Natsuki is safe, and that's all that matters. To me, at least. Stepping into the shower, I allow the hot water to run down my tired body in a beautiful relaxation. As I close the curtain, I notice the white box I placed in here earlier for Natsuki. I got those pajamas because I think I knew she would love them, which she does. Seeing her happy and comfortable in them gives me a renewed sense of peace. I guess the fact I can now relax in them without being in constant fear eases my mind. If anyone deserves it, it's her. She's had to deal with unimaginable fear and desperation because of a man who wasn't qualified to call himself her father. Reaching up and palpating my left shoulder with my right hand, I clear my thoughts and finish my shower in a quiet peace. Walking back to my room, Natsuki is lying down in my bed, cuddling with her teddy bear. Yeah, it was a teddy bear, and sleepily looking towards me. Did you have a nice shower? Yeah, I found it very calming and therapeutic. That's good. Natsuki's voice is weak with tiredness. Her half-open eyes are fighting to remain open in the comfortable position. Making my way over to the bed, I lean down and kiss Natsuki on her forehead. She reaches up and wraps both of her arms around me, bringing me down to meet her lips. We share in a kiss before I pull away, and Natsuki's blushing face buries itself into the pillow. Don't think too much of that, dummy. That's kind of impossible. No, it isn't! Natsuki attempts to once again tsundere herself out of the situation. Maybe this once I'll let her win. Alright. I guess I'll just let go of the fact that an angel just kissed me. Keep this act up and you won't get any more. Smirking, I lift myself from the bed and turn off the light. Would you prefer I slept on the couch downstairs? I would actually prefer it if you slept right here with me. It would make me feel safer. Of course. And then we just sleep in the bed. Nothing but communicating with our eyes. Looks like she can finally rest peacefully for once, and I'm glad I can make that happen for her. And I promise from this day forward, she won't have to deal with the hell she put up with for so long ever again. Natsuki's eyes finally close, and as she slips into sleep, she smiles. I wrap my hand around hers and grip gently. My final thoughts before drifting into unconsciousness fall back to the consequences of Hideki dying. There are going to be a lot of further battles ahead with the Eastern Branch as a result of my decision, but I'll be ready for whatever comes next. And then we actually get the credits. Even a monster can listen to his heart. And then we get the credits, indicating that we picked the right ending. When you pick the bad ending, you don't get credits. Credits indicate you actually reached the right ending. Which, as a matter of fact, we did. But I don't feel like actually sitting down to set up another mod right now. If I have any time, like, later on in the week, or maybe the weekend, I might go and play, like, the next mod I have lined up for myself. I'm probably going to play something short and hopefully more lighthearted after the fucking roller coaster that was Fruits of the Literature Club. Has anyone ever made it an 8-bit demake of Super Metroid? I don't think so. I don't know, actually. I'd never really looked into it. So I'll probably just find shorter mods, probably most likely the more lighthearted ones, I'll just tie myself over until Monica's route is finally complete on fruits. I found one called Doki Doki Maltese Insanity. Yes, this mod will take place in the country of Malta. Not many people talk about it. Thinking of how the story goes with memes to implement. How to make the Monica date scene epic and trying to make it as insane as possible. Today is the day that an epic Monica mod exists. Everything was going normal at the literature club when all of a sudden a dude named Black Scientist appeared in the club. Monica was happy that she met a real human. And then the Dokis are in Malta. A really underrated country that deserves some exposure about how insane it is. And what will happen during their stay. Will Monica be able to attain a good relationship? What madness will occur? Find out in this mod. Custom meme sprites, memes, duh. Originally unique story. Custom music. And yes, I've probably already downloaded it. Except I probably won't play it now because I spent like the past hour or so just finishing off fruits. Well, Natsuki's route of fruits. There's still Monica, so no, we're not done yet.